Hello and welcome to the Global Goals podcast. I am Harry Jones, going to be hosting today's episode, and we're rounding up the group stages of all of the World Cup. So we've got the last episode today of the group stages, heading into the round of 16. I've got Ollie, Ben, and Chris with me today. How are you, boys?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate.
Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks, Chris, for asking how I am.
That's all right.
Appreciate that. So we've got a lot to talk about today. We've got obviously today's fixtures, and there's been a lot of action to sink our teeth into. And anyone that listened to the last episode, we had a nice little predictions of what we thought was going to happen for the day after. So our episode was on Monday, if I'm correct. Yeah, it was Monday. So the next day of fixtures was obviously the Netherlands, Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, Iran, USA, and England, Wales. And in the episode, I obviously said I feel like I set myself up for failure a little bit, and I said everyone can laugh at me for my predictions or laugh at us for how bad we did. But obviously now, with hindsight, we can look back on all the games, and we can go through and see how each of us did in them 4 games. So obviously the first one we did with Netherlands, Qatar. Unfortunately, I've had a bit of a stinker, and I've not actually given a prediction after we look back. I didn't even actually say a result, so I just said Netherlands would win that game. So it's a bit of a cop out, but obviously, Ollie, you said 3-0 Netherlands. Ben, you also agreed with him with 3-0 Netherlands, and Chris, you said 4-0 Netherlands. And
Can I just add, I did say Cody Gapco would get on the score sheet, and he did.
All right, so half a point to you then, Chris, for that one. Well done. So overall, Ollie and Ben were the closest. Obviously, I didn't actually give a prediction, so I can't really be in contention. So, Chris, you were a little bit far out there with that one, mate. So you're gonna have to.
At least to get a prediction.
Oh, okay, right. Sending shots already. We're only 2 minutes in, and I'm getting shots, but it's all right. So obviously, Ecuador, Senegal. They say lightning doesn't strike twice, but I've gone and not given another prediction for that one. I've just said Senegal would win. I promise I didn't do it on purpose. I've not said a scoreline. Ollie said 1-0 Ecuador, which was
that's controversial at the time.
We've had the worst shout so far at the predictions, so we're going to have to hold that one, Ollie.
I
Ben,
was so confident as well.
Yeah, no, yeah, you said it was conviction as well. So, Ben, you said 2-1 Senegal, which... well done, Ben, mate.
Yeah,
that was spot on. And Chris, you said 1-0 Senegal, so you got the right result.
I did guess this made a start score as well, and he did. So
this guy loves a little goal scorer, doesn't he? I can tell you a little bet on that one where Ismail would start to score first. Next game, Iran, USA. I went 2-0 USA, close, but no cigar. Ollie went 0-0, ball draw. That wasn't right at all. Ben,
way off again.
1-0 USA.
Yeah, well, this is why I paid the big bucks to get on this podcast, boys. Analysis.
And then Chris went 2-0 USA. So me and Chris went the same with 2-0. 1 goal off. Ben, he smashed it again, got it completely right. And in the last game, I went for... In the England-Wales game, I went 4-0 England. And I said, you can all laugh at me, and I did hear some shouts saying I was an idiot. But it finished, obviously, 3-0 England. I went 4-0. I was a goal off. Ollie went 1-1. Ben went 2-1 England. And Chris went 1-1 as well. So, Ollie and Chris, you shared the draw out there. Ben, you went 2-1. So, right result, wrong scoreline. So, I'll take a mini dub on that one because I did go for a bit of a bold prediction and it worked out. So
you all laughed at me. Now.
You're not laughing now.
Well, 2 scores, two correct scores, 2 correct results. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, Ben overall has won that one. So big round of applause for Ben. He smashed that one. So well done, mate. You've taken the bacon home there. So congratulations for your win. You don't get anything. So. All it's going to do is stroke your ego. So
yeah, personal pride.
that's all he could get. But anyway, enough of that because that was a few days ago. We're not going to go into too much detail on that. We're going to kick off with the games from today, and obviously we don't have the 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock fixtures anymore because it's the last games of the group. So they're obviously all played fairly at the same time. So the first group we've got to cover is obviously Group H, where Ghana, Uruguay played. So did South Korea and Portugal. And wow, what a bit of drama we had. So let's get ourselves stuck into all of the action in Group H. So we'll kick off with Ghana and Uruguay, which was it was a fueled contest, but it didn't really kick on until events happened in the other game, did it? So obviously it was a little bit flat to start with, but it sort of grew as the game went on, and obviously the stakes got a little bit higher. So first thoughts on the game, boys. I'll start with you, Ollie. What do you think about the game, mate?
Well, I think the lead up to game, it was all based around the 2010 saga, wasn't it? Suarez handling the ball on the line. I think Ghana had revenge on their mind. And they had the perfect opportunity. Ayew missed that penalty in the first half, and I think that kind of was the beginning of the end for them, to be honest with you. They just that first goal went in and their heads dropped. Second one followed not long after, and then Kudus, he's been the player of the tournament for them so far, but he's provided a little spark. But other than that, I think they were just outclassed by a poor Uruguay side, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, like you said, you mentioned the penalty, and that was massive, wasn't it? As soon as that got given, I thought, oh, it's actually written in the stars, isn't it? And you saw Suarez's face, and then you saw the players and the Ghana players. They thought, this is it. This is the chance for revenge, isn't it? It was set up so. The storyline was beautiful, wasn't it, Ben?
It was great.
What were you thinking when you saw the penalty given? I mean, it was massive, wasn't it?
Ollie's alluded to it there. It's 12 years in the making, and you see Suarez's face as well. And Darwin Núñez was protesting. He got a yellow card, didn't he, for scraping the penalty spot? But Andre Ayew just didn't really seem very confident from the offset, to be honest, with that penalty. And perhaps he had thoughts of Asamoah Gyan's penalty back in the day. I mean, he's one of the survivors from that team, wasn't he, in 2010? And perhaps he's thinking about that too much, and perhaps the actual emotion of the fixture made it difficult for him. It was a real poor penalty. It was a comfortable save in the end, wasn't it? And I think, to be honest, to be fair to Ghana, they're never really in a game from the start, and the penalty was against the run of play in the start anyway. But Uruguay deserved the win. They weren't great, as Ollie said. They're not a great Uruguay team. I think a lot of us expected more from them, but they thought they went through. But in the end, of course, the other game produced an even bigger shock.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it was a classic Darwin Núñez fashion, wanted to get booked for trying to ruffle up the penalty spot. I mean, it's so Darwin, isn't it, to try and do that, try and put him off. But I think that definitely had an impact on the penalty. I mean, it took between the penalty given and the penalty taken, there was so much time. You can imagine what was going through Ayew's head. I mean, he's probably running back that moment in 2010, and he's probably thinking, oh, I cannot miss this. And then with Darwin messing up the penalty spot, Chris, how much do you reckon, what impact do you reckon that had on Ayew? Do you reckon that actually was the reason why he missed?
I mean, even after the whistle blew, it took Ayew a good 5, 6, 7 seconds to actually take the penalty. There's loads of thoughts going through his head. I think it's got to have impact. That penalty could have changed the game straight away. 1-0 up, it could have had a big impact. And I think the pressure got to him. It was a poor penalty. Keeper saved it easily. And I think from that moment onwards, it was just a downfall of Ghana, to be honest.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I mean, I was watching downstairs with a mate, and we were saying, as soon as he stepped up for a penalty, you could tell when a player's going to miss. It's so stiff and nervous, didn't he? And I said, there's no way this goes in. It was a really bad penalty, wasn't it? He just walked up to it nonchalantly, and it was just so poor. And I mean, we'll go into what happened in the second half because it all sort of fell apart. But I mean, I want to talk about De Arrascaeta. I mean, the 2 goals he scored were absolutely amazing. I mean, when he came on against Portugal, he looked like the only player in the last game that was going to create anything. And they've obviously rewarded him with a start today. And he was spectacular. I mean, the goals are unbelievable. And you just think maybe if he would have started and played more of an impact earlier on in the tournament, could Uruguay have done anything? Do you reckon he could have done anything, Ollie?
I'll tell you what, I mean, before the tournament, I don't know about you boys, but I was looking at Núñez, Suarez. He didn't really catch my eye then when I looked at their squad. But he's really come through, and he's probably been their player of the tournament, to be honest with you. I mean, I never even heard of him before the World Cup, I'll be honest with you. Yeah,
no, you're not wrong. And obviously, the later the game went on, it was all set up, and I think Uruguay took their foot off the gas and maybe thought they were cruising through. And obviously, they're going to hear on the touchline, aren't they, from fans, managers, that what the other results saying and whether South Korea are getting anything. And I think maybe that played into South Korea's hands. And in the Portugal game, I mean, it looked so comfortable in that game as well, didn't it? It didn't really look like it was going to go any way other than either a draw or a Portugal win. And they've things just flipped on their head. And do you reckon that impacts the players on the pitch, Ben? Like when they hear something that, like maybe South Korea, when they got their goal to put them in front, do you reckon that affects the players?
100% it affects the players, because you can feel the atmosphere change around the stadium. I remember, of course, the following down the Premier League last season at Anfield, when Liverpool were doing the job in their game, the atmosphere around the ground, you could just tell that Man City had scored the third goal against Aston Villa, and it just changes the players' body language on the pitch completely. But having said that, Uruguay, they protested at the end of the game, didn't they? And they're furious with the VAR, furious with the referees, but they scored their second goal in the 32nd minute of the game. There's 60 minutes still left to play, probably, and the rest if you include stoppage time, and they had to push for a third goal. They knew that a 2-0 was a fragile lead because of the close goal difference between themselves and South Korea, and in the end, it was, their own downfall. They didn't really create much after scoring their second goal, but you've got to give a shout out to Luis Suarez. Now, a lot of people are going to talk about him crying at full time, but I mean, he had a massive part to play in both of the goals, didn't he? And he was throwing it back to sort of 2016 Suarez. The first time in a few years I've actually seen Suarez have that much of an impact on the game.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, going into the tournament, I mean, the first few games, or the first game in particular, Suarez looked so bad. He looked overweight, he looked leggy, he didn't have any impact. And then you just see him turn up. I'm not sure whether it's anything to do with the controversy that happened back in 2010, but he looked like a completely different player. Like you said, he was throwing it back to his heyday when he was banging goals in for fun. But we'll obviously rotate over to the other game that kicked off at the same time, and the other game in the group, and it lived up to expectation, didn't it? I mean, what a game it was. And I didn't see it coming. I thought as soon as Portugal took that 1-0 lead early on, you thought they were cruising. We all thought it was going to go to a classic Uruguay and Portugal go through, no dramas whatsoever. But God would be wrong, won't we, Chris?
I mean, yeah, like you said, when Portugal scored that first goal, you thought it could be 4 or 5 at that point. But all it took was a piece of poor defending from that corner, which allowed South Korea to get back in the game. It was just poor from Portugal. And like Uruguay, it was sort of like Ghana missing the penalty. It was their fault for their downfall. South Korea, you can tell how much they wanted it. They really stuck in throughout the game, and ultimately, I think they deserved it. They were so tight defensively, and it's really nice to see a team like South Korea get through. The Asian teams this tournament, South Korea, Japan, have been like a delight to watch, and it is nice to see them get a bit of success.
Yeah, no, it was, and I mean, I keep alluding back to the storyline, but it was a perfect last game of the group sort of shootout clash for who's going to go through. When that first goal went in for South Korea, you just thought it's going to happen, isn't it? You saw them get one back, and you thought they could actually go and do this now. I don't know if I fully believed it, just because I thought Portugal got way too much quality, just a fluke goal. But then it could have happened at a better time. 91st minute, they go and grab a winner, and you just saw how much it meant to. I mean, when Huang Chan scored, it just erupted. The players, the subs were running on the pitch. It was proper limbs, wasn't it, Ollie?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, it was unbelievable. I never saw it coming. I don't think you could have looked at that starting 11 and saw looked at someone who would change the game like that. I mean, Son has been a shadow of himself this tournament, but it was a counter-attack from a corner. He ran the length of the pitch. I don't know how he spotted that pass through to Wang Chan, but he squeezed it through. I mean, if it was one player you wanted to get that spark like South Korea needed, it was Son, and he done that today.
Yeah, he did. And you mentioned Heung-min Son, and he's not had a good tournament, has he? I mean, I don't know how they've got out of the group, because we all thought if they've got any chance in this group, it's got to come through Heung-min Son. But credit to the other players, because they've stepped up to the plate, haven't they? I mean, he's not performed at all, and we even said it in the last episode that he's just been miles off it, isn't he? He's not been the same player, and I thought maybe he could turn up today and pull a bit of magic out the gutter, but I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, he hasn't been the same player all season, Ben.
No, he hasn't. But you've mentioned it there, how good of a player he is, and sometimes with the players that have the sort of ability that Heung-min Son has, it just takes one moment, and Ollie's alluded to it there. He's picked the ball up. He was at the front post from the corner that they defended. He got the ball out, and he's driven 40 yards with that ball. And at one point, it was 4 Portugal defenders that were back, and it was just Son forward. And then you can just see in the left corner of the shot, Huang Chan run forward from the halfway line. He's got more desire than any Portugal defender to get on the end of Heung-min Son's pass. Son's pass through the legs of one of the Portuguese defenders, and that's a real cool finish from Huang Chan. He's had a difficult time at Wolves, hasn't he? But he's shown there just the quality he has got. It's a real cool finish under immense pressure. And South Korea, I actually commentated on this game alongside another one of my colleagues, and we were talking about the game, and South Korea just they looked really negative all game. They really sat back and sat deep, and they never really looked like they were going to score. But they had 2 opportunities. The first one, of course, comes off the back of Cristiano Ronaldo. He turns his back from a set piece, and it's a real good finish from the centre half, Guan. And then that chance on the counter attack, 91st minute, and they took it. So full credit to South Korea. They got the game plan spot on in the end.
Yeah, they did. It was almost identical to one of the other Asian sides we've seen in the tournament. That's Japan. They've done exactly the same thing. They were put in the group of death, so to say. And they've got massive results out of that, haven't they? I mean, beating Spain and Germany. No one saw that coming, but they've executed the game plan, like you said. They've turned up. They've realised maybe we don't have the quality to go out and take the game to them. And that's all right, as long as you acknowledge that and you build a strategy around that and make sure that you can pry on the opposition's weakness. But I was just going to say, do we reckon it would have been a different result had Portugal not have rotated so heavily? I don't know whether we'd be seeing South Korea in the round of 16. If not, like, how much do you reckon Portugal's rotation had an impact on that game, Chris?
I mean, you've seen it as a common theme in this game day 3 of the matches. You know, it's happened with France. We'll talk about Brazil a bit later on, but they make these heavy changes. You know, they want to avoid injury, keep the team fresh going into the knockout phase. But I think a loss, no matter if they're through or not, a loss damages the momentum. It halts that momentum they have, and it could cause a drop in confidence. And I understand why they're doing it, but I just think you've got to have respect for the teams you play with. You've seen enough this tournament already, the amount of upsets that have been caused. You've got to respect your opponents, and you know, on a different night, if they didn't get the points they had in the previous games, it could have been a different story for them. They could have dropped down to second, had a harder game in the next round. Yeah, I think you've got to show respect to your opponents during this tournament, and to rotate the team so heavily is I don't quite understand it myself.
Yeah, I mean, you see it from a Portugal perspective that why wouldn't they rest players, because they're already through. They don't need to go out and win, but it does affect. It has like a ripple effect, doesn't it? It affects the whole group. Like we've seen. I mean, everyone thought after Uruguay went 2 up so early on, we thought, wow. Game over. I mean, it's wrapped up, and they've gone and got their result. Uruguay, they've done what they need to do, but it's always a fine line, isn't it, between making your own luck and relying on another team to get a result. You never want to rely on somebody else to cause your own success. I mean, when Uruguay are relying on Portugal to beat South Korea, it's almost like they're setting up for a losing battle, because you can never put your fate in someone else's hands. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing today. If Uruguay went out and got a better result against South Korea in the first game, or took it to Portugal, they wouldn't be in this mess. And now they're finding themselves crashing out of a group where everyone, I mean, I say everyone, a lot of people had them as dark horses for this tournament, and they've really underwhelmed. So I think the changes to Portugal definitely had a ripple effect on that, because if we see a full strength Portugal, I think they run through South Korea, and I think it'd be pretty comfortable. But that's football, isn't it? I mean, Portugal don't need to play their players. It's not concerning them who goes through, is it? I mean, they're already through, so it doesn't matter on their part. So it's just about the other teams around them and them getting results. So Group H, definitely the group of drama for the day, wasn't it? I mean, they definitely had the bigger upset in terms of Uruguay crashing out. But Group G definitely was no bore, was it? I mean, that was some contest that we saw across the 2 games. I mean, we'll go into it in detail here, but I personally I really enjoyed Group G. So we'll go through the first game of Group G, Serbia and Switzerland. Now, I counted, I think, through this game, I think the group table changed about 6 times throughout the first hour of the game, and that's what it's all made for, isn't it? The last games of the group, you always want that to happen. You want to see the drama and the action and the teams swapping places. It's great to watch, because at some point you can't even keep up on who's going through and who's not. You're looking at goal difference. You're looking at, well, even now we're looking at fair play rules, like yellow cards. We're looking at who's going to go through if this team scores this many goals. It's really intriguing. So first thoughts on the Serbia Switzerland, Ollie?
Yeah, I thought the game lived up to what I expected, a big scoring game. I think both sides had nothing to lose going into it at all. I think Switzerland took a deserved lead 20 minutes in. Serbia pegged them back twice. Mitrovic with a great header, and then Vlahovic, who I think there's been a lot of hype about him, but he hasn't lived up to what people have been saying. I think Xhaka had an amazing game in the midfield for Switzerland. He really conducted the speed of play in there, and I think he really gave the fight to Serbia and got it turned around for them.
Yeah, it was a real contest between the two European sides, wasn't it? I mean, we saw them go hammer and tongue, and at the same time, it was similar to the last group. Nobody could really afford to sit back and hold out for a result because they were both relying on getting a win, and then also the result going favourably in the Brazil game, which we know, nice hindsight, that it definitely didn't go in one of their favours. But Ben, what do you reckon? What do you reckon was going through the heads of the Swiss when they got that goal?
Well, I think it was one of those things where, Switzerland started the game really well, didn't they? And they took a deserved lead with Xherdan Shaqiri. But to be fair to Serbia, the Mitrovic-Vlahovic combo with Tadic in behind, I mean, pre-tournament, a lot of people thought that would be enough to get Serbia through, but they haven't really been able to work together until today. I mean, they both got on the score sheet, but it still wasn't enough. The Serbia back line, I think we done the group video, didn't we, on this group? And I remember you talking about, Harry, in the video saying, that the defensively, they're just not strong enough and they've got too many defensive frailties, and that's come to fruition really in the tournament. I mean, they've just been leaking goals, and they literally like a tap. And at the end of the day, if you concede him 3 goals every game, you're just not going to win football matches, and that's what proved today. It was an entertaining game, but I think Switzerland, during the course of the tournament, have been the better side and deservedly have gone through.
Yeah, you're not wrong, and we can obviously, hindsight's a beautiful thing. We can look back on that game against Cameroon, sorry, and it is Cameroon, sorry, yeah, I'm getting my teams mixed up there through the groups. Yeah, that game against Cameroon when they relinquished that lead, and you just think whether they got the result there, could have gone into this game with a bit more confidence. It can all pan out, but obviously we know at the time we can't be thinking like that because we don't know how results are going to pan out in the future. But it's the first real chance we've had to see both Mitrovic and Vlahovic playing up front together at the same time with Tadic in behind, and shock when they play together, they're scoring goals, and you just wonder why we haven't seen that earlier on in the tournament, have we? Chris?
Oh, sorry, I don't know what you're
Sorry, mate.
The goals are there with Serbia. We've seen, the 3 against Cameroon, the 2 against Switzerland today, but like we've kept on saying, he's not there defensively, and it's all well and good scoring these goals, but if you can't keep it tight at the back, it's just not working. But Serbia have got the talent there. They're over through a transitional phase. They've lost their big defensive players like Matic and Brannan Ivanovic. They should run at the back, and now they're going through a phase where they're a lot better attacking. So we'll see with Serbia. I think there's longevity in that side with the likes of Vlahovic. He's got time to develop, and I think we can see how they develop in the next few tournaments.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because they didn't even qualify, did they, for Euro 2020, and now they're straight in a World Cup. I mean, it's showing they're on an upward trajectory, and you just think this tournament could have gone a lot better for them if they had. I think if they changed some tactics, like I've said, I think playing Mitrovic and Vlahovic up front together at the same time could have been dangerous against any side. I mean, they could have taken the game to Brazil, and they could have got a lot better results out of it. And then this game against Switzerland could have easily swung in their favour. I mean, like we said, they've leaked goals, but Remo Freuler comes up with a really important last goal, and they need to confirm it for Switzerland. I mean, it was already looking like it was playing into their hands, but and I think the late Cameroon goal in the other game, I mean, it could have easily gone either way. But I think Switzerland have shown that grit and that fight that they've got enough to progress through the group, and I think they definitely deserved it. Don't you think, Ollie?
Yeah, for sure. They were the second best team out of the group, 100%. Brazil was by a mile the favourites to go through, and rightfully they've gone through top. But yeah, I think Switzerland were 100% the second best team out of them.
Yeah, so we'll leave Serbia and Switzerland there and move on to the other game, which, I mean, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but it was action-packed again as well. But also the action didn't really kick on until later on in the game. I mean, the goal came right at the end. It was stalemate with Brazil holding a lot of the ball, and it's similar to what we saw against Serbia for Brazil. I mean, they've had all of the. I mean, Switzerland, sorry, when they had all the possession and they just couldn't get the ball over the line, and it was almost a similar carbon copy match. But I think the bigger case in that Cameroon-Brazil game was actually that I think everyone had one eye on the Serbia-Switzerland game of how many goals were going in and how the result was chopping and changing between who was going through the group and who wasn't. I think it almost overshadowed the Cameroon-Brazil game slightly. I'm not sure how much impact it would have had on the players on the pitch, but it seemed like they were pretty controlled, Cameroon, and they had their game plan and they stuck to it, Ben.
Yeah, they did. Cameroon, well, let's make no mistake about it, they won this football match and they probably in the end deserved it. Brazil obviously dominated the ball as you'd expect. They're the better footballing team than Cameroon, even though they had their second string out. But Brazil, it was a strange one because they started really well, actually. Brazil, they broke the lines through the midfield and Anthony got past his man a few times and you thought, oh, this could be a really long game here for Cameroon and Brazil could hit 3 or 4 past them. And Gabriel Martinelli had a header well saved by the goalkeeper in the opening sort of 5-10 minutes. But after that, nothing really happened for Brazil. They were dominating the ball, as I mentioned, but there was a lot of sideways passing, and it was similar to the Switzerland game, really. They were dominating the ball, but struggled to really create chances. And I think when you're playing a second-string side, we've already seen it with the likes of France and Portugal, that these players need to try and make an impact if they want to be in the starting 11 come the knockout stages. And no one's second-string sides have really been able to do it, and they're kind of showing why they're not in the manager's 11 from the off. And when you look at the likes of Anthony, Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, Fabinho, these are Premier League talents that are playing week in, week out for their clubs, but they can't seem to break into the starting 11. So it's an interesting one, really. And I think, Cameroon, give their credit. They sat back the majority of the game, as did South Korea against Portugal. But they took their one chance when it came. Vincent Aboubakar, who else but that man? What a brilliant header it was. And what a result for African football, really. I mean, to beat Brazil in a World Cup, Cameroon's first World Cup win in a very long time, since Rigobert Song was captain, of course, and now he's the manager. So really incredible stuff for them and a great win for the African team.
Yeah, it was their first chance to get out of the group in 32 years, and it just wasn't meant to be on their day, was it? But I just wanted to highlight Gabriel Martinelli, and I think he's going to have a really important tournament because he was fantastic today. I thought he was so direct every time he got the ball. He was. You could see he had his head up and he just wanted to beat his man every time. I mean, he wasn't up against the best opposition because Cameroon had a rotated back line because they've had a couple of injuries and it hasn't really worked out for him in that way. But Martinelli, just every time he got the ball, he was just running at his man. He wanted to get that shot off, and he had a couple of opportunities. And he was really unlucky. A couple of good saves from the goalkeeper. But it looks like Neymar's luck's so poor at World Cups, isn't it? I feel so bad for him because he's a player that deserves that real run at a World Cup and that real standout tournament. But he's just not going to sit for these injuries that are plaguing him. Are horrible, aren't they, Chris?
Yeah, they are horrible because Neymar's been the poster boy for Brazil, for years now, and they've not had that success they've had, in the past. And I think a lot of Brazilian fans put that pressure on Neymar to bring him home that success. But it's nice to see you've got these players like Martinelli, Anthony, even like Rafinha, who are coming through, and they're not so reliant on Neymar now. Vinicius Junior as well. These players who can step up to these big occasions. Martinelli came in today, and he played like he's been playing for the last season. He's a little firework in that midfield. He gets the ball. He's always looking up, looking to run, and he always looks like the one who's going to create something for them. And I think it's nice for Brazil to know that they don't have to be so reliant on that one player anymore.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, and I think it's a bit concerning how Brazil are struggling to score goals. I mean, Richarlison looked like he was going to be firing all cylinders in that first game, didn't he? And then his goals dried up in the second. Obviously, he got rested today. It wasn't obviously because he's been playing bad. They just completely rode. They had 9 changes, didn't they, Brazil? So, but is it worrying, Ollie, that they don't look like scoring as many goals? I mean, they're creating chances, but the goals aren't going in.
Yeah, it's not an excuse of not having the players to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. I mean, I think Brazil and Portugal found out today the hard way that how important rhythm is in a side in tournaments like these. I think keeping even though they were through, I think playing Richarlison today was important to keep that rhythm going into the last 16. I think once someone's got a goal in a tournament like this, they don't really stop. But yeah, and they didn't really have that cutting edge today. They created loads of chances. Bruno Guimaraes had plenty of chances towards the end of the second half. He had to score one of them. They're just not. I mean, it shows 9 changes, a lot of changes, completely different top 3. Jesus didn't really have a look in at all. I think they need to revert completely back to the 11 they started with the first 2 games. It's just whether they can get Neymar fit. But Martinelli looks like he can fill his boots, no problem really.
Yeah, it's exciting for Brazil fans and people in Brazil to see Martinelli playing so well, such a young age, filling them boots in Neymar. But yeah, I mean, it could be a bit worrying. I mean, everyone's favourites to win the tournament, the bookies' favourites to win the tournament. But I, I've been impressed with them, but I'm struggling to see where they're going to get goals in them big games where they don't have as many chances, because they're having the chances now and they're still not scoring much. So in them games against the likes of your Argentinas, your Englands, your Spains, them sort of games, they're not going to have that plethora of chances to get the ball over the line. So it's a little bit worrying, but they do have that clutch factor where you know that if they need a bit of magic, then players will definitely provide it. And Neymar is going to be pivotal to that. If he can get fit again and get back in the side, then I think he'll definitely be firing on all cylinders. But I don't want to keep gassing him up, but my man Vincent Abubakar, what a guy! I could not stop laughing about. I was commentating the game, and even on the commentary, I was laughing when he took his shirt off. You could see the drop in his face when he realised he'd already been booked. He's run over to the fans. He's put the shirt up like he's Messi, and the referees walked over and shook his hand and said, "Sorry, mate, you've got to go." And in my head, I was thinking, if Serbia get a late equaliser here and Cameroon could potentially go through, I would be crying if Abubakar couldn't play into the next round, because he's just so iconic. I love him so much. That goal was fantastic to score against Brazil. I mean, I've said it all the way through the World Cup. I mean, I said it in the podcast, said it on our preview videos. I love Abubakar, and I think he deserved the goal. But how funny was it when he got that second yellow, Ben?
I know. I mean, it's just classic Abubakar, isn't it? And to be fair, let's talk about the movement for the goal. I mean, he's run across his man, isn't it? I mean, Militao, I think it was. It's a really good header. Ederson rooted to the spot. And then, of course, I mean, you just get caught up in the moment sometimes, don't you? And he's just scored a 91st minute, stoppage time winner against the favourites for the tournament. And at the moment, he doesn't actually know the score in the Serbia-Switzerland game, and he knows they're a few minutes behind. So he's going to be absolutely buzzing, isn't he? He's going to think that he might possibly have just sent Cameroon into the round of 16. Obviously, he didn't, but he's took his top off. He's living in the moment. All the African fans right there, right in the moment. The players on his back. I mean, it's just jubilant scenes. And even though they didn't go through, just what a moment for African football. And I bet those Cameroonian fans are still partying now, because what a result. I mean, that no one saw coming. And I mean, there's only one. I coined it on commentary earlier after the South Korea-Portugal game, but it really is just a World Cup set, isn't it? Every single game just seems to be producing something special. I mean, South Korea against Portugal, France against Tunisia, Japan against Spain, Japan against Germany, and now, of course, Cameroon against Brazil. I mean, it's just been a whirlwind couple of weeks, and some crazy fixtures and crazy results have come out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I can speak for a lot of people when I say I didn't have that World Cup fever with all the issues in Qatar and obviously the change of season that we're playing and midway through a season, players getting injured beforehand, like big players missing out like Mane. I just didn't have that World Cup oomph that I usually do when it comes around, like the Euros in 2021. I mean, that was I really had the fever there, but now we're actually into it. I think this has been one of the best World Cups we've had in a while. I think it's produced some amazing moments. I think it's just been unreal to watch. And the group stages, they started slow, didn't they? We had so many 0-0s, and I thought we can't go on to this. But then I think I changed my mindset, and I thought there's been a lot of them 0-0s because a lot of the smaller teams wanted to just stay compact. Sit back against the bigger sides and just see if they can ride their luck, get a result. But now we've got to, obviously, the games like today and all this week we've had like the final games of the group, and that's where teams have really gone hammer and tong, just trying to get out of the group, and it's been unreal to watch. So I've loved every minute of it. I think it's been a great World Cup so far, and what a moment it was today. Like you said, Abubakar getting that goal, the Lusail Stadium, the Cameroonians, all the African fans were going crazy, weren't they? They're mental with their get-ups and their flags and their face paints and body paints. I love it. It's unreal to watch. So I just wanted everyone's thoughts, because now we've got the pleasure of, we're wrapping up the group stages, aren't we? So we've got that pleasure. So ratings out of 10, boys, of how the group stages have gone for you in your opinions.
Who started?
Far away, Chris.
I'll start. The first game day, getting into the tournament, there was obviously the Argentina-Saudi Arabia game, Japan, Germany, they were the highlights, but it was a bit of a slow start. And I think, like you said, it's just been an upward trajectory. I think it's the most thrilling, the most entertaining, and you just constantly keeping your eyes on it because you just don't know what's going to happen next. And I think that's important about, especially a World Cup like this that was surrounded by controversy. it's like we've got a reason to focus on the football now because of these upsets. So I'll a solid 8.
Yeah, decent. Ollie, ratings.
Yeah, I think I agree with Chris. He was spot on about it. It started slowly, it got better and better. Saudi Arabia, Argentina was the highlight for me. I thought that game really got spurred it into life a bit. That was the first kind of big upset, and many followed. The Mexico free kick from the other night. I mean, I haven't seen a goal like that in a long time. I think that will be goal of the tournament. I think I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I think this has been a very, very good group stage. Can't remember one like it.
Yeah, solid, Rog. Come on, mate.
I think, well, Ollie and Chris both mentioned it there, summed it up brilliantly. The Saudi Arabia-Argentina game was sort of the ripple effect, wasn't it? That calm Saudi Arabia was shocking one of the pre-tournament favourites, Argentina, and then I think that just spurred on all of the underdogs to think, actually, we can get at these big boys and we can beat them. There's no reason why we can't. You've got to go in that match with the right mindset, and that probably other teams looking on now probably thought, actually, the likes of Japan, likes of Costa Rica, these teams looking on and producing these upsets, they probably looked on it and actually thought, well, actually, why can't we get at these big teams and really cause something? So it's been a great group stage. You never know what's going to happen in any of the matches, and it's been proved again today after South Korea and Cameroon's wins. So yeah, it's an 8 for me.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a solid. I'll go in between you all and go 8.5. I'll go 8.5. I think I've loved it. I mean, like I said, I didn't have that World Cup fever, but now I'm buzzing to see what's going to happen. And later on the tournament, we've already had big upsets. I'm sure we'll have some more. So yeah, we'll leave the chat for today's games there, and we'll move on. I know you like that little guitar sting, Chris. I see you bop into it. I see you bop into that.
You can see me.
No, but so obviously, on this show we like a little prediction. We love a little predictions. We've already had ours for the last games, and it's going to be no different. I'm going to ask for some bold, hopefully some outlandish predictions that, well, I said before that we can laugh at, but hopefully we get them just as close as the last lot. So we're going to go through the last 16 fixtures. We'll rattle through them quickly. No explanations needed. We'll go through the games and how they play out. And I just want a score line off everyone. So I'll actually make sure I will do a score line this time. I'm not copping out. I'm going to make sure that I get every single score line in. So I'll kick us off. Netherlands, USA, which is going to be played tomorrow. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a cracker. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Netherlands win. So I'm going to go 2-1 Netherlands. Ollie.
I don't see USA scoring. I'm going to say Gakpo 1-0 Netherlands.
He's even giving us a little scorer. Wow.
The guy's on fire.
Yeah, no, I don't discount it, to be fair. I mean, if you're going to go for anyone's score, it's going to be him, innit? Ben, go on, mate. Give us a score.
I actually think this match is going to go to extra time. I think Netherlands are going to nick it in extra time, but I've been really impressed with USA defensively. I mean, they've conceded 1 goal in 3 games in a group that's got some good attacking talents, of course, with England in there as well. And USA just look really, really rigid and really solid at the back. So I think, 1-0.
1-0. Chris, go on. Far away.
Ben. Very, very concise from you, Ben.
I forgot about the one word.
3-1 Netherlands.
4-1.
3-1.
3-1. Right.
Bit
of a bold one. Yeah, nice. Right. Next game, Argentina, Australia. I'm going to go 3-0 Argentina. Messi to score at least 1. Ollie.
I'm thinking another upset here, boys. I can't lie to you. I don't know what it is about Australia. I've been seeing them 3 a.m. limbs in the town centre, and it's just. I'm saying a 2-1 Australia here. Aaron Moy masterclass.
I like a little bold prediction. There's someone else to laugh at, isn't it? Right, go on.
A bit of Aaron Moy from Huddersfield.
Yeah, go on, Ben.
2-0 Argentina. Safe.
2-0 Argentina. Safe. Yeah. Chris, go on.
I was going to say 2-0 Argentina as well.
Wow. Yeah. Safe. Right. Next games. We'll move on to Sunday. France, Poland. I'll rattle us off with I'm going to go 3-0 France. I think they're going to smash them. 3-0 France. Ollie.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you, Harry. I'd like to disagree with you because that will be England's fingers crossed next opponents. But yeah, I think France will be too strong for them.
Ben?
Not been impressive opponent at all. 3-1 France.
3-1. Chris, go
I'm going to go for it. 1-0 Poland. Why not?
1-0 Poland, knocking out the
What
reigning
about
champs. Will they have that bounce, that curse, that winner's curse? But moving on, England, Senegal. I'll go 2-0 England. I think I've gone for a clean sheet in each of the games so far. 2-0
No both teams to score bets for you, then.
Yeah, no, both teams to score. I'll go 2-0 England. 2-0 England, Ollie.
I think this is going to be a 0-0 and England take it on penalties, I think.
Oh, a little pen
Yeah,
shout. Ollie's going
hey,
outrageous for these shouts. I'm liking it. Right, go on, Ben.
1-0 to the Three Lions.
1-0 to the Lions. Chris?
I think Ollie definitely hasn't learned from his last predictions yet. I'm going to go 2-1 England.
2-1 England. Nice. Right, Japan, Croatia. This is a bit of a tougher one because it's quite close. I'm going to go 1-1 and either an extra time or penalties win for Croatia.
Exactly what I was going to say. 1-1 Japan, Croatia. And Japan take on penalties. I've got a piece of on it online if you want to see my proof that I think it is going to be that. I didn't just steal it from you.
Go on, Ollie. What do you reckon?
My heart's saying Japan. I've really grown fond of them this tournament. But I think Croatia might be. Modric has been class this tournament. I think they'll edge it 1-0.
Right. Go on, Ben.
3-2 Japan in extra time.
What will be the score at half time? What will be the score at full time?
2-2.
2-2. Right. Nice. Right. Brazil, South Korea. I'm going to go 2-0 Brazil. Ollie.
If Richarlison starts up front, 3-1 Brazil. Richarlison hat-trick.
he's relentless, isn't he, today? He's going all out.
The guy's on
You're
fire.
going to look like a mug coming.
He knows we're not going to do another one of these, so we don't have to read it.
Yeah, he knows we're not going to be back. Right, Rod.
3-0 Brazil. I think this will be the real coming of age for Brazil.
Right. Chris.
I think South Korea are coming in with more momentum, but I think Brazil will nick it. 1-0. Nothing too major.
1-0. Nice. Safe. Morocco, Spain. I think Spain look the real deal. I think they look very good. I mean, obviously they had that upset, but I think they'll breeze past Morocco, and I think it's going to be a 2-0 comfortable. Nothing too major, just comfortable. 2-0 Spain. Ollie?
I think I'm going to disagree, Harry. I think Morocco have been slept on quite a lot this tournament. I think they've surprised most people. I think it'll be closer than we think. I think 2-1 Spain will edge it. Hey, no. That would be too outrageous. 2-1 Spain.
2-1
closer
Spain.
than it may think.
Ben?
Ollie's not going to have any top 10 ranked teams in the quarterfinals at this rate. 2-1 Spain as well, but in extra time, I think Morocco looked really solid. I think they'll give Spain a really good test.
No, I agree. I don't want to discredit them, but I think Spain will beat them 2-0. Go on, Chris.
I think Ollie can't go on about being too outrageous, and he has just predicted Richarlison score a hat trick. I'm going to go 2-1 Morocco. I really enjoy them. I think they're fun.
2-1 Morocco.
I think I'm going more with my heart for this one. They're so fun to watch. They beat Belgium.
I just wanted to hear it right. You said 2-1 Morocco.
Did you not see Spain lose to Japan the other week? They can be beaten.
Mate, okay, that's all right.
Touche.
Portugal, Switzerland. I'm going to go 2-1 Portugal. Ollie.
I think this will not be another close one. I think Portugal will edge it 1-0 without the help of Ronaldo.
Right, Rog.
Bruno Fernandes has been absolutely immense this tournament, but I think Switzerland are going to nick it. They're a real tournament team. 2-1 Switzerland.
2-1 Swiss. Right, Chris.
I think the Swiss are a brilliant tournament team. They showed it in the Euros against France, and I think they're really capable of actually getting far in this tournament because it's a favourable sort of quarter of the draw, isn't it? And they get a favourable quarter-final against Spain, possibly even a semi-final for Switzerland.
Not bad. Go on, Chris.
You're saying I'm outrageous. Bloody hell.
Hey, I'm the prediction king, mate, after Monday.
I'm going to go. It's going to go 1-1, 3-1 Portugal after extra time.
3-1 Portugal after extra time.
Yeah,
Two goals and injury in extra time. Sorry, no, that's all right. No, I like that.
Proven is that we've got no ball knowledge at all.
Yeah, we're going to get absolutely exposed here. I can't wait.
We'll be taking it straight off YouTube when they.
Someone private the video, quick! Private the video. Oh, we're going to get bullied for these predictions, but hey, that's what it's all about. If it was that easy, then we'd all be millionaires because I'd have £100 on whatever I've just said if I knew I was going to be right, and I'd be rich, which I'm definitely not. So. That's all right though. I like little predictions. I like seeing how different we are, and I think we've got a bit of variation in there. So I reckon we've done all right. And well, that's wrapped up the group stages. It's been a ride, isn't it? It's been a pleasure. I've loved every minute. I mean, I think it's been a really good group stages. Like we said, it started slow, but I think it's really kicked on, and I'm just buzzing. I'm buzzing to see what's going to happen in the knockouts, and it's coming home, isn't it, boys?
Yeah. Well, until the quarterfinals against France, but yeah.
Oh gosh.
You
smile on your face, man. I bet you're fun at parties.
You mean Poland?
Yeah.
It's coming over the
Poland.
Granite jacket.
Oh, shut up. Well, boys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much for coming on, and thanks for all your hard work and input into the group stages. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Harry, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, boys. And obviously, it's going to be no more episodes from the group stages from here on in. So. Thanks everyone for watching. It's been great. See you later, boys.